Alex had always dreamed big, but somehow life had a way of keeping him small. Each morning, he woke up with a sense of possibility, telling himself that today would be different. Today, he would finally take the steps that could change his future. But by evening, the hours had vanished into scrolling feeds, binge-watching random videos, and mindless distractions that promised relief but delivered nothing. He felt exhausted, yet unfulfilled. He wasn't lazy, not exactly, but he was trapped in a cycle of comfort and avoidance. The comfort of putting things off had become a silent jailer, and Alex didn't even realize he was imprisoned. He watched others around him seemingly move through life with purpose. Friends landed jobs, traveled, started businesses, and pursued passions that lit up their faces with energy and excitement. Alex, meanwhile, felt stuck in the same apartment, surrounded by stacks of unfinished projects and scribbled notes of dreams he had long abandoned. A gnawing sense of guilt and frustration followed him everywhere, like a shadow he couldn't shake. Every night, he asked himself the same question: why can't I do what they do? The answer was simple, yet hard to admit. He lacked discipline. One rainy evening, as the sound of raindrops tapped against his window, Alex stumbled upon an old journal he had started years ago. Flipping through the worn pages, he found lists of goals and dreams he had written with youthful optimism: traveling the world, starting a business, mastering new skills, making a real impact. He felt a pang of shame. The dreams weren't dead, but they were trapped under layers of excuses, procrastination, and fear. He realized that nothing outside him had changed. He had changed, or rather, he hadn't. The truth was undeniable. The life he wanted would not come to him by accident. It had to be built, brick by brick, through consistent effort. For the first time in years, Alex felt a spark of clarity. He understood that discipline wasn't punishment. It was freedom in disguise. Without it, he would always remain a spectator in his own life. With it, he could create the future he longed for. That night, he made a decision, a quiet, firm commitment to start small and stay consistent. He didn't set massive goals immediately. Instead, he began by reclaiming his mornings. He decided he would wake up at 5 a.m., an hour earlier than usual, to work on his most important project, himself. The first week was brutal. His body resisted. His mind resisted, and old habits whispered their tempting lies. Skip today, it's too early, 1 more hour of sleep won't hurt, relax, you'll start tomorrow. Every time he gave in, he felt a sinking sense of disappointment. But when he pushed through, completing even the simplest tasks before dawn, he experienced a strange, exhilarating sensation, a sense of control. It was the first taste of freedom he had ever felt. By the second week, the hour of focused work had become something he looked forward to. He began exercising, journaling, and tackling small but meaningful tasks that had been piling up for months. Each completed task, no matter how minor, built momentum and confidence. For the first time, Alex saw that discipline wasn't a chain, it was a set of wings. The more he practiced, the more he realized that control over his time and choices was a power he had been ignoring. The uncomfortable beginnings, the struggle to resist old habits, were not obstacles, they were the foundation for the life he wanted. In the quiet hours of the morning, Alex began to feel something he hadn't felt in years: hope. It wasn't a fleeting, wishful hope, but a grounded belief that change was possible if he took ownership of his actions. No more blaming circumstances, no more excuses, no more waiting for the right time. He understood that freedom was not the absence of structure, it was the mastery of self, the ability to choose discipline over temptation, and to craft a life by design rather than by default. That night, as he closed his journal and turned off the light, he whispered to himself, "This is the first step." And in that moment, Alex felt something shift deep within, a sense that the journey, as hard as it would be, was finally beginning. Weeks turned into months, and Alex began to notice subtle changes that felt almost magical. His mornings no longer felt like a punishment, but a sacred time, a moment of control before the world demanded anything from him. The habit of waking up early had grown roots, and with it came a clarity he had never experienced. Exercise sharpened his body and mind, journaling clarified his thoughts, and his dedicated work sessions allowed him to chip away at long-ignored projects. The rhythm of discipline, once foreign and uncomfortable, had become a steady heartbeat in his life. But the journey was far from smooth. Challenges emerged like relentless waves, testing his commitment. Some days he woke up exhausted, his muscles sore, his mind screaming for a pause. There were moments when the old whispers of procrastination returned, taunting him with promises of comfort. Just one day off, they said, you'll start again tomorrow. Each temptation was a test, a small battle between who he had been and who he wanted to become. And with each battle he fought and won, Alex felt a growing sense of empowerment. He was learning something crucial. Discipline wasn't about avoiding discomfort, it was about embracing it to reach a higher plane of freedom. Gradually, the fruits of his labor began to appear. Small victories, a completed project, a disciplined day without distraction, a new skill learned built upon one another. Each success, however minor, reinforced his belief in the process. Alex realized that the life he had once thought impossible was slowly taking shape through consistent effort, one disciplined choice at a time. His confidence grew not from luck or talent, but from proving to himself that he could follow through, even when motivation faltered. Then came the first real breakthrough. Alex landed his first significant client for his freelance business. The deal was modest in the grand scheme, but the achievement was monumental for him. It wasn't just about money, it was proof that his disciplined approach worked. The elation he felt wasn't fleeting. It was deeply rooted in the knowledge that he had earned it through his own persistence and choices. This success became a catalyst, pushing him to refine his routines, set higher goals, and take on more challenges. Each day he built on the last, creating a compounding effect that no amount of laziness or distraction could undo. As months passed, Alex started seeing the invisible architecture of his life transform. His relationships improved because he was more present and reliable. His mind became sharper, able to focus for hours without surrendering to distraction. His energy levels soared, giving him the stamina to take on new ventures. More importantly, he noticed a shift in his perception of freedom. Previously, freedom had meant doing whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. Now, he understood that true freedom was the ability to choose, to direct his time and energy intentionally. Discipline had become the vehicle that carried him from chaos to clarity, from indecision to control. With his newfound perspective, Alex began inspiring others, not by preaching or giving advice, but by embodying the change he had created. Friends asked how he seemed to have endless energy and focus. Strangers noticed the quiet confidence he carried. Every challenge he overcame became a subtle lesson in resilience. He realized that the discomfort he had once dreaded was not an enemy, but a teacher guiding him toward self-mastery. Discipline had revealed its paradox. The more he adhered to structure and consistency, the freer he felt to live life on his own terms. By the end of the year, Alex no longer feared the future. He faced it with preparation, confidence, and a deep sense of self-belief. The daily grind of early mornings, focused work, and deliberate choices had not only transformed his circumstances, but had forged a resilient mindset. He understood now that freedom was not given, it was earned through consistent action, through the silent victories of discipline, and through a relentless commitment to growth. Alex had crossed the threshold from being a passive observer of life to an active creator of it, and the path ahead, though challenging, now felt limitless. A year had passed since Alex first decided to take control of his life, and the transformation was undeniable. His days were no longer a blur of wasted hours and fleeting intentions. Instead, they were deliberate, structured, and full of purpose. The routines that had once felt like chains now felt like wings, carrying him toward goals he had only once dared to imagine. He had built a life that reflected not just ambition, but mastery, the mastery of self, of time, and of choice. Alex woke up every morning with energy and intention. He no longer needed external motivation. The internal discipline he had cultivated acted as a compass guiding him forward. Tasks that had once seemed daunting became opportunities for growth. Challenges no longer caused panic or avoidance, they became invitations to prove to himself what he was capable of. Each day was a testament to the quiet power of consistent action, the kind of action that, over time, compounds into extraordinary results. He felt freedom in a way he had never experienced before, the freedom that comes from knowing you are in control of your own life. His business had grown steadily, attracting clients who respected his dedication and reliability. Financial stability, once a distant dream, was now a reality. But more importantly, Alex felt an inner wealth far beyond money. He had gained confidence, resilience, and clarity. The early mornings, the disciplined hours of work, the refusal to give in to distractions, all of it had forged a version of himself that could handle both success and setbacks with equal grace. Life no longer dictated his choices. He dictated his life. Looking back, Alex understood the profound truth he had discovered along the way. Discipline is not a restriction, but a gateway. When he first began, he had thought freedom meant doing whatever he pleased, whenever he pleased. Now he realized that true freedom is earned by mastering yourself first. Every early wake up, every difficult decision, every moment spent resisting temptation had been an investment in his independence. Discipline had not limited him. It had given him the power to shape his own destiny. Friends and colleagues noticed the change. Some sought his advice, wondering how he managed to stay consistent and productive despite life's challenges. Alex no longer felt the need to explain or justify himself. His life was a living example of the principle he had embraced: control your habits, and you control your life. The admiration he received was not his goal, but it reinforced the fact that transformation is contagious. Discipline inspires discipline, and growth attracts growth. Alex also recognized that the journey was ongoing. Discipline was not a destination, but a lifelong companion. There would always be new challenges, distractions, and setbacks. But now, equipped with the habits, mindset, and resilience he had built, he faced the future with confidence rather than fear. Every obstacle became a chance to reaffirm his commitment to self-mastery. Every success became a reminder of the power that lies in consistency and intentional living. As he stood by his window one evening, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of gold and orange, Alex felt a deep sense of peace. The person he had once been, lost in distraction, weighed down by excuses, longing for a better life, felt like a distant memory. He had crossed from chaos into clarity, from indecision into action, and from limitation into freedom. He understood now that discipline was not a burden, but the ultimate gift: the power to choose, the power to act, and the power to live fully on his own terms. In that quiet moment, Alex smiled, knowing the journey had changed him forever. Discipline had become freedom, and freedom had become life itself. The story of his struggle, persistence, and growth was no longer just his own. It was a message to anyone willing to step up, embrace discomfort, and commit to the hard but rewarding path of self-mastery. In mastering himself, Alex had discovered the truest form of freedom: the ability to create the life he had always dreamed of, one disciplined choice at a time.